So over the Christmas holidays, I rewatched all four of the Scream movies. And you know what? They're all fresh in my memory of my thoughts on these movies. I said I'm gonna rank them all from worst to best. So let's go. And one quick thing before I do get started, if you're new to my channel, consider clicking that subscribe button for movie reviews and rankings like this one. I do at least one movie ranking per franchise on a weekly basis, so if you want to see all that kind of stuff, click that subscribe button. And one new thing I want to try for this for a whole ranking was, I want to do my ranking, but before I do that, I want to do the ranking of the Rotten Tomatoes according to the actual, I think it's the critic score they took. Yeah, the critic score before giving my thoughts. So coming in number 4, they got Scream 3 with 39%. Coming in number 3, they've got Scream 4 with 60%. Coming in number 2, they've got Scream with 79%, and then coming in number 1, they got Scream 2 with 82%. So let's go on my ranking with number 4. And coming in at number 4, I do have Scream 3. I kind of agree with the whole critic score for this one, because this movie, even though I do like it, like I actually enjoy all of the Scream movies, but this one just kind of falls flat a bit. The kind of fact that it's very much focused on the movies that are being made within the Scream universe. Also, the David Arquette and Courtney Cox relationship feels very odd and feels very kind of, it doesn't really work in this movie. Where in the second movie it kind of ends at a good point for them, and I think it's 3 years later on in this movie, and it feels something big has happened. It seems very much like the problem with Jurassic World, the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the way a big battle or big fight happened between the two couples, and just nothing's ever really explained. It happens in this movie as well, which doesn't really work for me as well. The twist villain at the end is like, it's not a spoiler or anything, there's twist villains in all these movies, but who's revealed to be Ghostface at the end of this, I wasn't really a fan of. It felt very forced. It felt a very generic horror movie, which the Scream movies are kind of a satire of the Scream movie or all the horror movies, that they make fun of all that, and the fact that they kind of really copied it, I wasn't really a massive fan of how this movie ended. I didn't like the reveal of Ghostface. And coming in at number 3, I've got Scream 4. I wasn't really expecting to like this movie as much as I did, just because it came so many years after. I think it's 12 years after it came from Scream 3. So usually when a movie takes that long, it's like, okay, sometimes it could be bad, but it also can be really good. So this movie surprised me in a way, especially because this movie is a satire on the remake, reboot, whole everything about that. So the fact that they take that and they kind of run with it as well, I enjoyed the twist at the end. I didn't see coming. This literally shocked me. I was like, oh crap, I really didn't see that coming. Our 3 main characters that do come over from the original trilogy, I really enjoyed them. It's kind of like a Force Awakens kind of thing from that as well. Of course, they're all really good. Courtney Cox kind of also feels kind of outplaced in this movie as well. It didn't really feel like her character kind of moved on a bit, but the other two felt very much like their characters. It's not the worst remake kind of reboot, where it's not a remake or a reboot. It's a way that it continues the story on, but it doesn't feel like it was natural. It felt like it didn't need to make it. Felt like Scream 3 ends it well, where it doesn't not a phenomenal ending. Like, it's not like this is the ending like we couldn't do more. But the way this continued on, it felt like, what was the purpose in having a Scream 4? Even though I liked the story, I kind of struggled to see the purpose of having a fourth one. And coming in at number 2, I do have Scream 2. This movie as well is a sequel that I was like, oh really? Especially because I am kind of getting into a lot more horror movies. So I'm looking at like Nightmare on Elm Street. This first one's great, second one not so much. Friday the 13th, first one's great, second one not so much. So I was kind of expecting the same to go with this one, but this movie was a pleasant surprise. As you've seen at the start of the video, this is the most highly rated Scream movie of all 4 of them. So the fact I put it at number 2, I understand why a lot of people enjoy it more. I just think 1 is better. But this movie has a lot going for it. The opening scene is so brutal, and it's so realistic. The fact that she is screaming for help, no one helps her because they don't realise what is actually happening. The fact that it's in college now, and it's a whole new group of characters, even though they are bringing other characters over, it's a great way of bringing it. Dewey has a limp now, which in Scream 4 they just smack miraculously. It's gone. I don't understand why his limp has gone in Scream 4, which kind of bothered me as I was watching him. But a lot of this movie, the whole twist film at the end as well, didn't see it coming. It's kind of a running theme with these movies where I've never been able to predict who it was. They kind of set up like, oh, maybe it's him, and I was thinking throughout this movie, no, like there's no way it's him. Like, I was thinking it was the boyfriend just because the first movie, but I was like, no, it can't be the boyfriend. That's too obvious. Which I was kind of glad I did get that one. But the fact who the killer was, who I won't actually say who it was, I didn't see it coming, which is always one of the best things you can do when you cannot see a villain coming. And coming in at number 1, I do have Scream. This movie is phenomenal. It is probably, I don't know if it's my favourite horror movie, but it's definitely up there with one of my favourite horror movies, because this franchise, I think, is my favourite horror franchise of all time. Ghostface kind of goes back and forth. I don't know if he's my favourite or Chucky. I can't decide who I like more between the two of them. But just the fact, I think this movie's great. The opening scene with Drew Barrymore, every time I see it, I get shocked. And see at the end of how that happens, I'm like, oh crap, that is actually horrible to watch. So there's a lot that happens in this movie that I love. I love how just all the characters, like the actual bad guy in this movie, I can't remember his name, but he also played Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo movies. And I actually got to meet him, which was really cool. I didn't actually meet him, I didn't get an autograph or anything off him. He just kind of told me to fuck off, because like I was kind of sneaking around to see how much he cost, and he goes, you know, he's in a way he said fuck off jokingly. He didn't mean like actually like fuck off, but if I could go back, I would actually love to meet him, because I just think he's great in this movie as well. His kind of partner in this movie is really good. He's very mischievous and very untrustworthy, his face, but he's really good as well. You do have the majority of the cast. You can always predict who's gonna die when, because like there's a scenario where I can't remember the character. I don't know the actor's name, but the guy who plays Dewey, when his sister gets killed, I knew, I could literally, as soon as she walks in the room, like, oh yeah, because you can see her nipples through the shirt, I'm like, yeah, she's gonna die. So a lot of those elements are very predictable, but the story overall, I adore this movie. I think it's a phenomenal movie. I watched it 3 or 4 times within this last year in 2019. I've seen it at least 3 or 4 times. It's a movie I wasn't expecting like as much, because I always heard it is a satire on the horror genre. I knew it would be good, but I didn't think it would become one of my favorite horror movies of all time, so that's why I had to put it in at number 1. So that's my ranking of all 4 Scream movies. Let me know your thoughts and your actual ranking of the 4 Scream movies in the comments down below. Click that subscribe button so you can see other movie reviews and rankings just like this one. And as always, thanks for watching.